Trustee Fluger,
Present.
President Mansell,
Here.
we have Diane, treasurer, and Mr. Martinson. I'd like to have a motion to approve the agenda and approve the previous minutes from January 2nd, 2025.
So moved.
Motion by Flager,
Second.
second by Zerflu. Any comment? Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that passes. Public comment. We have, IT from, Wood
Amy.
County. Amy, do you have any comment that you wanna say at this time?
Not at this time, no.
Okay, thank you. No other public, is here or appears by Zoom. Chairman comments, I have none at this time. Discussion and motion to approve the monthly bills, journal entries, and previous month financial report. I'll make that motion.
So moved.
Second by Zerflu. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Hearing none, that passes. Agenda number 8, number on the police department staffing, time frame for replacing officer position and also one part-time spot that is vacant. Mr. Martinson, could you please update us on that?
Yeah, so I've reached out to both, the new chief, Mr. Abbott, and the existing chief, Scott Jew, and discussed this, with them in lengthy and also with, Scott Stewart. So right now there's obviously a list of, lateral officers. That's the PFC. The PFC is going to start interviews in March, for the open candidates that'll be for the police department. And we'll be looking to, they'll be bringing us information, I guess, with Brandon's approval for us to approve the wages and stuff in, April. They're looking for a starting of mid to late April for that position.
How many, people applied?
I believe they started with 4 laterals. I don't know if they're all qualified, but they had four applicants for the lateral transfer.
So it's 4?
Yes.
You're gonna interview all 4 then?
I don't know if all 4 had the correct criteria. I don't have that information, but there was 4 that applied. So I know the PFC has a meeting coming up. I think next month they're gonna look at the applications and everything and see who they're gonna interview. And
You are?
They are.
Oh.
So basically, we'll be bringing that motion in April to this committee for approval for the open police officer position. We do have a part-time spot that's open. One of our part-timers resigned due to, taking a full-time chief's job in a different department. So that spot is open, and the PFC will also be giving, Brandon recommendation on their list of officers that he can choose for that open spot. This all fits in with our budget that we put together for the police department this year with the lateral, with the changeover in chiefs. So nothing that needs to be addressed, financially. Just wanted to update you guys on how that was gonna work when, Scott leaves and then Brandon appoints with the PFC as new officer.
I highly encourage you to stay in touch with the commission chair.
Yeah.
Just for the financial aspects, not the police part, but you know, that part.
And obviously the lateral transfer that they, written, basically that was within our wages that we've approved, that we have in our, labor policies is what they're, posted, so.
I would like to make, when you talk to Chairman Stewart, or I guess I could reach out to him. Because I would recommend that they maybe, interview all 4 to establish an eligibility list for if something happens in the future, if, you never know. And that way we'd have an eligibility list of 1, 2, 3, 4 that we could come back to if something would change in our department.
Definitely pass that on. I don't
know what,
What's-
I know that they're in charge of filling the spot, so.
So I'll update you guys, obviously, next month. We'll have another update on that. May not be no motions that come out. We'll just update you where the status of that is. So Brandon was comfortable with, he wants to get his feet wet and get everything under control, because he wants to help train this new officer. So that's kind of why we're delaying it to April. He wants to be involved in the training.
How many hours are budgeted for the part-time? Don't wanna put you on the spot here. If you know offhand.
I don't know the hours. I know what, we've got a rough $10,000 is kind of what we did, but unfortunately, the last couple of years, we haven't used part-timers, so that was something that I did speak with both chiefs, and obviously we worked on Chief Drew's budget for this year. We didn't have a lot of part-timers in there because we haven't had them in the past, so.
So a lot of it depends on the wage scale and where they come in. If they're on the bottom end of the wage scale, we've got more hours available. If they're at the
Correct.
top end.
And I did tell Chief Abbott, once we get his replacement done, we can sit down and, get some numbers to Diane so she can run us what's gonna be in that category for payroll for that. For the part-timers, but we haven't used a lot of part-timers in the past, so I've warned them, don't schedule a bunch, cause we don't have the financials to it. I mean, when we do the budgets, we were using strictly chief and patrol numbers, not a lot of part-time numbers. So,
10,000 really doesn't go all that far.
but,
So.
so we'll work with him. I have him informed on that, so I'll work with Chief Abbott on what he has for that. So with Diane's, give me the numbers.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Martinson. Any other questions or discussion on that update? Hearing none, old business. You have some old
So
business?
this will kind of tie into, and I think this is why Amy is on the phone or on the Zoom in call. I guess I can kind of update you guys. This is obviously IT. IT department that we run things through, and the financial human resources. Last year, at the end of the year, we approved the new server project through Wood County, with obviously updating our contract with Wood County. I've been working with Brian and the Wood County staff to get that new server up and running. I just spoke with him earlier today. The server's ready to go. They're hoping to get it down here to the village, get it plugged in end of this week or early next week. And then they've got a lot of work to do remote and in-house, getting our computers, talking to the server and getting all that, everything set up. He roughly gave me a time frame of 3 weeks, depending right or wrong, to get everything working with the server. So, we've been getting the licenses renewed, working with Brian on that. We've been getting them approved and everything. So at this point, the server's in progress of getting replaced. And then at that point, we have to discuss computer repairs, and I'm thinking this may be what Amy's on. So when we basically had Brian come here in December and walk through all the departments and get a rough idea what we have computers, what ages we have, how many we have, what we need updated, because it's been a while since we had a full walkthrough with that. So he did walk through our departments, starting at the municipal building, fire department, police department. And we do have some old computers that we have on staff. So his recommendation was some of those need to be replaced every 5 years is kind of the recommendation for replacing the PCs. So we're in the process of getting that information. When he comes through the server, we're gonna get a better idea how many need to be replaced, so that I can bring it back to you guys and have a discussion on that. Something that was brought up, back when previous administration was here about 3 years ago, when Wood County IT came, was doing an escrow account, putting so much a year in account for new computers. Your the iPads that you guys use as board members, all was packaged together, and we'd escrow money in an account so that every 5 years when we need replacement, that Wood County would have that money, and they just take care of that. We've only, in the last 3 or 4 years that we've started this, we've only, I think, noticed that we've paid one time towards this. So we don't have, I think we've got roughly 6,000 in escrow. We haven't been following through every year, right or wrong. Maybe it's counting on both ends, but I guess my recommendation, and during our contracts, there was nothing that said nothing exactly about escrow is, if we need computers, I'd rather see us come October, I'll reach out to Wood County IT and say, what do we need? Do we need 1 computer, 2 computers? And then bring it on our budget to you guys during budget time and actually say, we're gonna have to budget for 2 computers this year. We'll figure out how to budget and replace those computers compared to escrowing it. You never know. We had 3 computers, and maybe we only need 2, maybe personnel changes, or we don't need to replace all those computers at one time. For example, board members, we have a lot of iPads, and you guys aren't using them. So for us to keep escrowing money in that account and nobody's using them, I'd rather if somebody says, hey, I want an iPad, I'll take it to Wood County, get it functional and get it back to you guys and be able to use them. We would run that through our budget. So that's kind of where that is at. We're in motion with the server, and trying to get some computers replaced to get our IT back up to snuff. I don't know if Amy has anything she wants to add to that at all.
I just wanted to make a couple of comments on that. And that was basically when we initially talked about this and did the contract, the consensus at that time was to go with the escrow. It's completely up to the village how you want to handle that. The only thing I would caution is the reason that we do that is typically that helps, we do it for the county. It helps budgets kind of maintain a steady so that you're paying $5,000 every year for those computers. That fifth year comes, we have $25,000. We go out, take care of the computers and order them that way. It's really up to you. How do you want to do that? Obviously doing it a couple here, a couple of there, that just takes a little bit more of our time. But again, we kind of bill for the time that it does take for that. So the biggest caution is any device that is out of date. So if that device is over 5 years, the county will not support that. We don't do that with departments here. And we really just see Port Edwards as an extension of how we do things here. So really the only thing is just because the village at the time really was in favor of the escrow, before we change that and kind of figure out how we want to handle what we do have escrowed, I just wanted to make sure that it was discussed at the committee level so that everybody understood what the change meant, just because it was a change from what was originally agreed upon.
Thanks, Amy. Yeah, and I do believe that was back in 2022, previous administration. I know we updated that contract last year with you guys, because we added some language to it. And, I did talk to staff. We're quite aware of every 5 years. I mean, computers need to be replaced every 5 years. Isn't an issue. And with the budget, some of the concern is we have some devices that don't always get used depending on staff change. And like you heard me with the iPads, I don't want to put money in escrow and then all of a sudden we're not using it to the needs. So that was why I kind of wanted to change it, just more being responsible to the village.
President Mental?
I know, bringing up the iPads, that's what I have a note down here. I think Joe, you're the only one that really uses your iPad.
Do I?
You're like the only trustee board member that uses their iPad. Do we see an interest in keeping that? Or just maybe having a couple available instead of the 7 that we are using? Maybe only have 3 or 4 available, because I know I just use my laptop at home. It's just easier for me to navigate and all that, but do we look at?
I use
downsizing
mine
it?
just for the information,
Oh, do you?
email,
Okay,
just to get the emails, and then I really don't resend anything back from it, but, I guess that could be a choice of the trustee who, we have them available
Yeah, if they
and, if a trustee wants it, that's fine. If the trustee doesn't, I think that would be up to the trustee themselves. I use it. Diane sends me a lot of, the bills and information I look at through there
Mhm.
too, but.
I'm just thinking instead of supporting 7 devices, maybe if we only support 4 or 5. I know it's only 2, but.
Yeah, and I have other departments that want them, so that's where,
really?
I have the fire department wants one, the water department. We definitely have, and I know, when Nick got on, I've asked Nick and, I offered to the new members as soon as they got on, do you want this device?
Mhm,
And, Eric Humble the same way. I've offered it to him and he said, I got my own, so,
Sure.
but we could definitely,
But
use
you
it
can
for other
utilize
departments.
them. Okay,
Correct.
then never mind. Scratch my
but it's,
comment.
that was.
So
that-
realistically, it's budgeted either way. It's just a matter of whether it's escrowed through Wood County funds or whether it stays within Port funds.
Correct.
It's not one of those that something breaks, we're running into contingency to grab money that we didn't have budgeted and earmarked for it in the first place.
Correct,
So it's just whether we have it here or there.
correct.
That's why I recused myself. I'm between the rock and the hard spot on the county board and the village board. And I probably shouldn't say this with Amy listening, but I kind of do more village work on the county computer,
Ah,
and
Oh, I didn't get my earmuffs on.
it's just handier that way. And I think we should, about all I can really say is, keep a few around or keep them all around that we have and, for the fire department
Yeah,
and
that
water
makes
works
sense.
and whatever.
Yeah, if we have them out there and other departments want them, whoever wants to use them, I think we can utilize them in that department and see how it goes.
Would they then be prioritized for village board if, you know, someone new comes on and they want one? Would we then take it back from the fire department or the water department or?
We'd have to get one. I mean, cause once they put their information on it, you know,
Then you're
we'd
kind of
have to.
right.
So we definitely would offer it. I mean, that's part of the package, so we'd have to,
Okay.
unfortunately, go back to Wood County and we'd have to purchase one. You know, I will say on the escrowing thing, and maybe, I don't, not trying to be negative, I mean, I got a bad taste, I guess, I just felt, you know, previous, when it started, when this, about 3 months ago, I went to IT and asked them, well, how much do we have in escrow? And I couldn't really get an exact amount out of anybody. You know, nobody could tell me, well, we have 6,000 or 4,000, and I look back when this started in 2022, and I look back with, our clerk, and we weren't paying you guys regular. I mean, I don't know if, you know, and again, there's been a lot of change, or I'm not looking to point fingers, but if every January you were gonna send us a bill for the escrowing, so that we had documentation, so I have a little bit of a bad taste, and I don't mean to be that way, but we weren't, if we'd have done it 6 and 6, we'd have an escrow right now of a, you know, $20,000-$30,000, so, and I know we have a bunch of computers up right now, so once we buy these new computers here this year, and we've got a 5-year window that I feel we can discuss it. So I'm not saying maybe once we get everything updated and you guys get the new server, we get all of our computers that we know that need to be replaced up to 5 years, that we don't review this again. I guess at this point, I want to get everything replaced that needs to be replaced so that the staff has the correct equipment. And I want to make sure when we do our budget that we're using the money in the right direction, not escrowing for something we're not going to use for 5 years down the road. That was my concern.
Yeah, we can definitely review it after the server is up and running and the computers are, so maybe we'll put it on agenda for not, maybe a couple months down the way and review.
You said Brian came in and did an assessment of, would you be able to say what it would cost to replace everything that's gonna come to that 5-year end of life this year?
I'm waiting for Brian. We haven't, he's got that information. He come and took serial numbers and he's got dates. And you know, I guess I'm waiting for him to come do the survey. When I talked to him today, I said, we need to sit down and really hone in on what that's gonna be. You know, we talked about in this room, having its own computer for the team meetings. I mean, we have a lot of moving parts that we haven't got exact numbers for. And I know your IT has been busy working on the new jail, whatever, but I mean, I've got a list of questions and I'm hoping we can get a real number locked in, because I do need to bring it back to this committee and say, hey, this is what's gonna cost, to make sure we can cover it. I know for sure you know, the 2 computers in the office staff need to be taken care of, and for sure the administrators, you know, the rest of them will have to see, you know, they go through departments also. So,
Okay.
but Brian's working with us, so I appreciate the help of that, Amy.
Yep, I just wanted to make a couple of comments just so that you guys know, we know exactly what you have in escrow and I can get that information over. I do believe just because we did have personnel change kind of on both ends, that we did miss our 2024 charge for escrow that we should have escrowed or charged you for. So I think that was just kind of changing on both of our sides and just not kind of getting that there. But we do have that money set aside. So whatever purchases moving forward, we would be able to do that if we're going to opt to kind of get rid of that escrow. But that's really just kind of what that intent was, is you purchase it, escrow, and then when that is due, then we kind of just have that money sitting here for you. So can definitely revisit it at the time. But whatever we do have that we have escrowed and that you've paid us so far, we do have that set aside in our accounts here ready to be used.
Great. Yeah, I was talking to Brian, and if you could email it over, we'll use that for sure on replacements that we have coming up here hopefully in the next month. So. Thanks, Amy.
Okay, thanks. And then,
Just-
Ansel?
At the next board meeting, then maybe I'll just say during president's part, hey, if you don't use your iPad, bring it in and then we can see if other departments want to use it. Cause I know mine's just sitting.
I have a stack. I think there's 4 or 5 in the village office, so we're definitely good on them.
Okay.
So thank you. Yeah. But
Lay around.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay,
then
and
just
we'll
did it.
revisit this
Get it
after
on
the
my-
new server's up and running. We'll revisit, if we
Perfect.
decide to go to NASCRO.
Good.
Thank you, Amy. Discussion of new business.
only thing I'm gonna have for new business is next month, I'll be bringing you guys, with Diane's obviously, help with bringing you a finalization of last year's budget completion. Obviously, right now, we've got bills still coming in. So we'll get you complete. Right now, we're sitting at about $100,000 within budget, that we figured for last year, and we've got some bills coming in, just so, everybody realizes, I mean, this is a key component when we're doing the budget for this year, when we kept on talking, we need extra money, departments can't spend 100% because we're gonna be short, and this just shows you guys at the end of the year, that a lot of our departments spent 99 to 97% of their budget, which put us, and I mean, we made it, but it put us in a tough situation. I mean, obviously, we hope that departments can spend 90,000 or less, 90%, or not 90,000, 90% of their budget, not the 100%,
Nice.
not the 100% of their budget, because if they spend 100%, you know, when we have this discussion, we talk about budget, I mean, it puts us in a tight situation moving in for year after year cash carryover and obviously the end of the year with the finances. So, next month in the new business, we'll have you guys a full report. We'll try to be a one page or nothing, just where the departments are, for percentage they use and where we're at for a complete budget, summary for the village. Yeah.
Thanks. Diane, do you have anything to add?
No.
Thank you. Correspondence received. I didn't receive anything. Did anybody receive anything? Agenda items for next meeting. Guess at this time, maybe, you know, after the new servers running, we'll look at numbers. If it's not next meeting, the one after that, so.
For sure. Keep you guys updated what's going on, and I'll get a count on how many iPads we have, and I'll get that out to you guys, this committee, so you guys know how many we have sitting in the office vacant. And again, departments have reached out to me, so.
Okay, without objection.
I
Oh,
have
go
one
ahead.
other quick question. With the current turmoil, and we'll use turmoil in the broadest sense, going on with the federal government, what do you do as far as grant wise? Has any of your stuff been delayed, not promised, or are we pretty good as far as we're getting everything that has been allocated?
Yeah, we've got, two county grants, one from, for trees, replacement of trees. That lady was here the other day. We're all on board for that.
But nothing federal.
Nothing from the federal. And I don't know if the fire department has any. That would have to run through, I could run that through, police and fire, or the PFC or whatever, but we don't have any from the village aspects of federal. He might have some federal ones for turnout gear, maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah.
So, but I keep you updated on that status. I can talk to the chief.
Okay. Anything else? Okay, without objection, we'll adjourn meeting at 10:05. Thank you.
When's the next meeting date?
Oh,
Now that you've objected, but.
It's a ditto meeting,
uh,
March 6, 4:30, ditto.